Hi, I'm Dr. Audrey Tang from The Chrissy B Show, and in today's Psychology Matters, I'm looking at how to support aging parents. The thing about our parents getting older is that we may not always realise it. It's quite a gradual process, and because we probably won't see them as often, or certainly not maybe every day, we may not realise until we go to visit and suddenly they're a little bit more forgetful, they might be a bit slower, maybe they're asking us the same questions over and over, maybe they're squinting at something, maybe they're finding it difficult to hear. Or perhaps you start noticing the little telltale symptoms of other disorders. This can be quite a scary thing to see, and also it might be difficult for us to manage purely because we are also going through things in our own lifetimes. The difficulty with aging is that everyone is aging at the same time. Whilst you yourself may be starting a family, or perhaps your children are growing up and going through their life changes, so too are our parents. And in order to negotiate and navigate what we're doing in our own lives and support parents, it's all about finding a new balance. And that new balance is quite difficult to strike, often because our parents too wish to retain dignity, to some extent wish to retain independence, and perhaps don't want to be dependent on their own children. A lot of negotiation is often in order, and it can start with very practical things. It might be being aware of things like where your parents have financial commitments, where your parents are working for in terms of their housing, and all of the practical sides of things that we don't often think about. We think about them for ourselves, but not necessarily for other people. So it may be wise, if you are worried about parents getting a little bit older, perhaps even having to consider things like power of attorney, to be doing this and having that conversation whilst everyone is able to have the conversation in the appropriate frame of mind. There are also practical ways we can support parents. And unfortunately, as much as we don't like looking at our parents getting older because it can be quite frightening, it's worth remembering if a parent is losing their sight, websites such as the Royal Institute for the Blind, they can be really helpful. For example, my dad is losing his eyesight, and what he has is a little alarm which fits onto the side of a cup, and it goes off as soon as the liquid touches it, which means he doesn't spill anything when he's filling up a kettle, or he doesn't burn his hand or anything like that. So these are little practical things. Another thing which I've seen for somebody who is suffering with Parkinson's is a two-handed mug, which means that you've actually got a lot more sturdiness if you're trying to drink. These practical things are very subtle, and they allow your parents to remain independent. It may be you have to support them in looking at changing their bathroom around so they can actually step into the shower, perhaps even moving their bedroom from upstairs to downstairs. These things help them retain independence and help them retain their pride, because a lot of the time parents don't want to start feeling as if they can no longer cope. Other things we can do is continue to go out, continue to enjoy things together as a family. Because again, what parents don't want to do is miss out on your children growing up. They don't want to miss out on all the exciting things that are going on. And what also research has found is that the grandchildren often are really connected with the grandparents, and they are the people who teach them to use things like smartphones. On the topic of smartphones, there are also phones you can get specifically for parents getting older, and they have panic buttons as well. And this panic button will scroll through numbers as soon as it's pressed, include it, so you reprogram it with your own number. These things may not be enough to give you that peace of mind that you're after, but at least they can help. And it's a start, especially with retaining the independence for those people who have that wish to remain dignified. The whole thing about getting older is that it is something that happens to all of us. But with a little bit of effort and a little bit of work, it can be something where we can just find a new balance and a new way to keep living life to the full.